Hi, Kevin Coop here,
And Tom Furphy.
and we're here to do the innovation conversation. Once again, finding ourselves in the same place at the same time. We're actually in Indianapolis for the GMDC Self Care Summit, which has been really, really interesting. But I want to talk about something else today.
Sure.
There was an interesting story reported a couple of weeks ago on Morning Newsbeat about how Disney announced that they were going to no longer accept Netflix ads on any of their platforms, meaning ABC, meaning FX, a couple of other of their cable channels. The idea being that they were looking now at Netflix because Netflix has done and positioned itself this way as being direct competition. There's only so many eyeballs out there. There's only so many hours in the day, so they're not going to promote the competition. I was wondering, what do you think about that?
It's interesting. I've always been a proponent of keep your market as broad as you can and try not to artificially restrict it in any way, shape, or form. I understand why they would do that. Netflix has a pretty massive audience. Obviously, Disney's trying to acquire a bunch of that audience. I just think it's a tough proposition to do that. I think that really, I guess it depends. What is Disney's what are they going to target with their service, right? Because Netflix is very broad. Disney does have a pretty broad assortment of brands.
Who's a more powerful brand, Disney or Netflix? I think you could make the argument that Disney's.
I think you definitely make the argument that Disney is.
Interestingly enough, they're not doing it on ESPN. ESPN does
Right.
not apply to this, which I
Right.
think is interesting. May tell us something about where they're seeing the ads. Maybe they're more concerned about younger people as opposed to
Right.
the older people who watch ESPN. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
But I guess where I think it actually matters to our audience is the idea that I've talked for a long time on Morning Newsbeat, and I'm not strict about this, but I've always made the argument that, listen, why would a supermarket want to carry Starbucks coffee and Dunkin' Donuts coffee, let's say, to use them as examples,
Right.
if those two companies are directly positioning themselves against the supermarket, looking for share of stomach?
Right.
I mean, at what point are you promoting their brand at the risk of your own? And I can remember when the reason that I really originally thought about this is Dunkin' Donuts went to California. Before they ever had stores in California, they said we had product, and they said yes, we're going to create brand awareness in California by selling our product in supermarkets. Then we're going to open donut stores, and it's like, well, wait a minute, why would I sell your product under that premise?
I think it comes down to the retailer understanding their customer and serving their customer in a way that they see appropriate. And I could see the same decision being made by two different retailers for two very different reasons, right? If I am, call it Wegmans, and I'm a huge known advocate for my customer and I want to solve their needs, and these are desirable products that they want to have in their homes, then I should be able to I should provide that for them and be comfortable that I'm not going to lose my customer,
because they have a strong value proposition, and a strong brand identity,
and a complete value proposition, right? Where other retailers may say, I want to offer it to get the buck on the sale, and I'll take those units, and I may or may not achieve other benefit from that, or I may or may not have a broader, stronger value proposition for my customers. So yeah, but I mean, I would think as a retailer that feels strong in my own value proposition and advocates for my customer, I would not have any issue at all in offering those products.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I mean, because you extend this out. I mean, first of all, there's going to be so many streaming services. Everybody and their brother is starting a streaming service. So Apple's got it, Amazon's got it, NBC is doing it, ABC, Disney is doing it. They talk about people cutting the cord, and yet people are going to have to pay individual fees to all these different services that they may or may not want to have. And at what point does it feel like you're going to end up paying that money anyway, just individually as opposed to group? And that kind of creates an opportunity probably for somebody to come in and bring it all together.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I guess right now it's brought together by your device, right? So you go onto your device, you have apps for each of the individual services. You can pick that app and you can drill into the content that's on that. So the device is the consolidator. Right, but at some point you have so many apps to choose from that functionally it would benefit you from having all this content, right, and have a network, right? I mean, for Amazon, it's they have a bunch of services that are all under the umbrella of Prime, right? And Prime is the kind of organizing proposition. For these other services, what is their value proposition? What is the organizing function for them? And there may be an opportunity longer term to be that organizing function, but it has to provide a value in doing that, though.
I wonder of people who have Amazon Prime, and what is 50% of U.S. households, right? That's roughly the number.
Yeah.
How many of those households decided to sign up for Prime because of the video offerings that they have? I would bet very few.
Yeah, I would think very few.
Right? So the difference between Amazon and pretty much everybody else in the streaming business is that for all of those other folks, the video's the value. At Amazon, it's a value added.
Exactly.
Which means they're playing, like, once again, Amazon's playing
it's
a different game.
Well, and I mean, apply it to the grocery space, right, where you have, various retailers or service providers. You can do the annual pass or the subscription pass for shipping, right? So I can get, unlimited shipping over $35 on home delivery by being a member of a program. It's nice, but it's just one piece of it, and that's, Amazon's position. Being across these services for their customers with that organizing function of Prime, it's pretty formidable.
And would Disney ever decide, since Apple is launching a streaming service, not to advertise any Apple products on its networks anymore?
It's crazy.
Because you would think that's the next logical step.
It is the next logical step, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. And at one point, and I guess at the end of the day, and this is actually something that I heard somebody say here at the Self-Care Summit, somebody made the comment that if you're going to be in the self-care business, healthcare business, one of the things you have to do is you have to think like a patient, not think like a business executive. That it changes your point of view. And I guess the decision that all these companies have to make in their own way is they got to start thinking like consumers, not like business executives.
Yeah.
So was Disney making this decision for business purposes, or were they thinking about the consumer? I don't know.
I mean, that seems pretty businessy. It seems pretty businessy.
And I guess that would be the argument against my position about Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts coffee. You don't want to do it because that's a business decision. If you do what I say, it's a consumer decision if you carry it. But your point is the right one, which is, but you got to have that brand identity.
Yeah,
and if you don't have that brand identity and you have a clear value proposition, then you're actually fighting a battle that you're really not prepared to fight.
And you only have a right to fight in that battle if you're truly focused on your customer. Because you can't create brand promises and value propositions in a vacuum. You have to understand your customer intimately to solve their needs, build capabilities, and your brand promise is built based on that understanding.
As Sean Connery says in The Untouchables, here endeth the lesson. Anyway, that's this version of the Innovation Conversation. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time, everybody.